Engineer Your Success, Episode 6, Servant Leadership Exposed. If you've heard the term of servant leadership but aren't quite sure how it applies to you or to your company, then you're in the right place. If you think that servant leadership is just about you serving the needs of the people that you lead, then you need a wake-up call before you drive yourself and your company into the ground. So, hey, look, stay tuned. Take a listen to this episode of Engineer Your Success with Dr. James Bryant. Welcome to Engineer Your Success with Dr. James Bryant. Let's have a conversation today about leadership. So leadership is an important topic, right, for any organization. If a company lacks leadership, it lacks direction. And the same can be said for you. You know, if you don't have leadership, if you're not taking leadership or control of your life, then it lacks direction. If it's your company and your company lacks leadership, guess what? It's going to lack direction. And it doesn't mean that your company will not be doing things, that you won't be accomplishing things. But what it does mean is that that movement that the company makes, the things that you're doing will lack purpose. So leadership is one of the foundational principles that you need in place in order for your company to function as it was intended, in order for your company to serve the market that you want to serve, in order for you to serve who you want to serve. Leadership is one of those foundational pillars. So why are we talking about the foundation? So in design, you will typically start with your design calculations from the top down. So if it's a 3-level building, you're starting with calculating the roof loads, understanding what's going on that layer, and then taking some of those loads, distributing them. Then you go to the next layer, then the next layer down. And so each level that you go down, you're adding on those loads, but you start at the top. You start at, what you want that building to look like. What is that roof going to be? And what are the loads that that roof needs to take? Right. So you're really looking to see what the ultimate requirements are for your foundation. So again, the structure from floor 2 is going to carry some of the load. The structure from floor 1 is going to carry some of the load. But you do all of this so that you can know the type, size, and the strength of the foundation that you need in order for you to be able to construct or build the facility or structure that you have in mind. You know, or you want to know, what is your foundation expected to hold? Because if your foundation is not adequate, it doesn't matter what you build on top of it, it won't last. It doesn't matter what materials you use, what design you use. If the foundation is inadequate, it will not last. So your foundation must be designed not just for the life that you have, but for the life that you want. Your foundation must adequately be designed for the business that you want, not just for the business that you have right now. So here's a question. Do you have the foundation in place for your business to grow? Are you ready to scale? Our conversation today is about servant leadership. If you find yourself as a leader of a team or a company, and you're constantly coming to the rescue of every crisis, guess what? You are not actually being a servant leader. You may be serving your team in certain ways, but running from crisis to crisis, being the rescue man or rescue woman is not really about servant leadership. You are a problem solver, but the effectiveness of your team and of your organization in that regard falls squarely on you. Now you might say, James, but I'm serving my company by stepping in and solving problems. I'm serving my employees by taking on these things so that they don't have to. My response to you is that you are infecting your company with a deadly condition that inhibits the company's ability to produce competent leaders, because you choose to win a battle in the short term by taking on these tasks, by saving the company, the organization, your team members from this short-term crisis, but not taking a long-term view. Because in the long term, you want to be able to develop those people in your organization and equip them to be able to handle those crises on their own. And if you keep taking the steps that you're taking, you're going to set your company up to die. So what is your job? Is it to serve your customers? Is it to serve your clients? Is it to serve your family? Is it to serve yourself? What does it mean to truly live a life of a servant leader, not only within the context of business, but in the context of business and in life? Now, we can get into the technical definition of a servant leader, but I have a very simple definition. Here it is. A servant leader serves others through the development of the ability of the people that they lead to serve themselves so that they can serve their community. So servant leadership is not running around and taking care of every crisis. It's not jumping in to save the day. Servant leadership is about equipping those that you lead so that they have the ability to lead well. And my definition of service, right, in terms of servant leadership, providing service, it includes a point that I think is often overlooked in talking about leadership in general and servant leadership in particular. And that is learning to serve yourself and others. So what does it mean to serve yourself and also serve your community? So the most selfish thing that you can do is to not care for yourself. I've been saying this for years. I absolutely believe it, that if you don't care for yourself, then you will not have the energy, the tools, or anything that you need to be able to serve others. Now you can say, James, I'm confused. So you're telling me that I need to take care of myself, but I thought I was supposed to put others before me. I thought I was supposed to put other people before me. That's what a leader does, right? Make sure that everyone else has what they need. Leaders eat last, right? Well, even if you take that approach, think about it this way. Leaders may eat last, but they still need to eat. Putting others before you does not mean that you forget yourself. If you don't have the energy and focus, guess what? You're going to be burnt out. And how well can you provide for those around you? You can't. You really know that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So filling your cup is not just about you, right? Filling your cup allows you with the ability to make an impact in the lives of those around you. And the biggest impact that I believe that you can make from a leadership perspective is equipping, preparing, and developing the people that you lead with the ability to care for themselves so that they can serve their community. So what do I mean by serve their community? So what is the community? Or maybe it's better put, who is your community, right? Or should we say, who are your communities? You're talking about your family, your friends, whether it's the folks that you associate with at church or a community club or school. It's those people that you interact with, the people who you work with, the people that you lead. And this concept really does apply both to your personal and your professional life. If you want to apply servant leadership principles in your personal life, look no further than being a parent or an uncle or some type of a mentor with someone in your family. So, my job as a father is not to continuously come to save my sons from the consequences of their actions, right? If I'm always there to save the day, then how will they ever grow into the men that they're supposed to be? How do they become leaders that they're supposed to be if I am stunting or stopping their process of becoming? Because going through these situations, learning how to navigate mistakes, learning how to navigate tough situations and make those tough choices is all about their process of becoming. And so my role as a father and as a servant leader, how do I serve them, is to love them enough to equip them, to nurture them, to train them, to coach them, but also allow them the space to actually grow, allow them the space to flex their muscles, allow them the space to go through some things so that they can build their future capacity for leadership so that they can build their future capacity for adulthood. And if you are a leader of an organization, if you are a CEO of an engineering company and you're always coming to the rescue, what are you doing in terms of the ability of your staff to grow, the ability of your managers to grow in ways that can help support your growth as a company, that can help support you in leading? You just think about it in that way. So are you preparing future leaders or caretakers? So future leaders will be equipped to help your company grow, right? They're going to have the people skills. They're going to know the business ins and out, but they're also going to have those leadership skills where they're looking for innovation. They're learning how to manage people, but it's all things that can help you grow. Versus a caretaker is going to basically do what it says. It's going to take care of what is there. And that's just going to be the status quo. So the things that got you to where you are may not be the things that to get you to where you need to grow. So caretakers may not be what you need for this next stage for your company. You have to decide that, right? So the great thing is this: it is never too late to start preparing for the next generation of leaders within your company. So change happens when change happens. And it starts with you making that decision to say, this is the investment that I'm going to make into my people. So in doing my research for this episode, I did come across the 10 qualities of a servant leader. And so you'll notice when I read off these qualities that they're similar in theme to some of the concepts that we've discussed when we were talking about the engineer's blueprint for a balanced life, as well as last week's episode, communicating your way to success. So those 10 qualities of a servant leader are listening. So you really want to have the ability to listen, and that's listening to understand, listening to kind of take the information in, not necessarily to respond, but you're listening with connection in mind. You want to be able to show empathy. So within that, you're empathizing with them. You're understanding where they're coming from and can kind of walk a minute or so in their shoes. Then it's healing, right? So a servant leader brings about healing. So it's not about the confrontation, but it's understanding what needs to happen in order for this relationship to heal. What needs to happen if this person is hurting, even in the work context? What do we need to do to bridge that gap so that we can bring healing to our team, healing to our company, so that we can function as a cohesive group and continue to grow together? Then there's awareness. And so a servant leader not only has to be self-aware, but has the ability to be aware of others, but also to help other people become more self-aware. So you're coaching people, you're talking through people, and you're raising their level of awareness, because through awareness, people are able to make changes. They're able to institute things. They're able to take on the qualities that you need for that position. And then it's persuasion. So you're not trying to convince people, but you are persuading them to do things in a way that's going to be cohesive to your company and to the mission, the values that you have. You have conceptualization. You're able to conceptualize, cast that vision for your team so that you can get everybody on the same page. You want to have foresight, meaning you're able to see a little bit further than the people that are there, but it's not just about having foresight. It's not just about conceptualizing. One of the things we talked about last week is the ability to translate, being able to translate your ideals, being able to translate that foresight and conceptualization into a language that your team can actually take and understand, or into a language that the people that you're leading can actually take on and understand. You want to look at stewardship, then commitment to the growth of people, and building community. So when I look at all of these 10 qualities, right, we probably could do an episode on each one and really do a deep dive on each one of them, just to continue to provide value to our community. But remember, at least from my perspective, that servant leadership is serving others through the development of the ability of the people that you lead to lead themselves so that they can serve their community, right? So again, the ability of the people that they lead to serve themselves so that they can serve their community. So here's a question I want you to think about this week. So when the next crisis in your business arises, are your actions helping or hurting the long-term development of your organization? Are you winning the battle, but losing the war? A few parting notes that I have. I've been working on updating my blog, and there are a few new articles that are there. Posted a new article on work-life balance for engineers, as well as a few articles that deal with the engineer's blueprint for a balanced life. There's a link that's provided in the show notes for those articles that you can also download the blueprint for a balanced life. I really do want to hear directly from you, so you can use the link in the show notes to leave a comment or questions that you would like addressed in the show. It's a really easy survey to take. You click the Launch Me, or you click that link, and you'll go to an audio survey where you're able to record your voice asking your question or leaving a comment. And again, my goal is to start collecting the questions and input so that we can design some shows around the topics that you're bringing up. So many people know what to do. Fewer people know how to do it, and a select group of people actually follow through and do it. My goal and purpose for this podcast is to help you be part of the select group that follows through and executes. Have a great week.